If you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television.
Sunny's dumb. Certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked and you went on stage with it and it's nothing
Just
there.
go for it. Yeah,
there's nothing there.
I mean, married, if your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to some nefarious stuff. Let's just not forget who she is. She's been, for years, lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures, and look at her track record. How many times has she had to go on in the past 2 months and look at the camera and do a legal apology?
What happens when a trusted doctor finds himself at the center of one of the biggest medical fraud scandals in New York history? This is the story of Dr. Emanuel Manny Hostin, a renowned orthopedic surgeon, and the husband of Sunny Hostin from The View, who now faces shocking allegations of fraud, unnecessary surgeries, and millions of dollars in kickbacks.
I agree with mostly everything that's been said. I mean, we know that, only about 31% of Americans trust our healthcare system. We have a terrible healthcare system. And doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do.
How deep does this case go? And what does it mean for the healthcare system as a whole? Stay tuned as we break down the case that's making headlines, sparking debates, and leaving patients questioning the trust they place in their doctors. It all started when Dr. Emanuel Manny Hostin's name appeared in a massive RICO lawsuit alongside over 180 other defendants. The allegations? Insurance fraud on a scale that's hard to fathom. Prosecutors claim that Hostin and others had a scheme involving unnecessary medical procedures, fraudulent billing practices, and financial kickbacks.
I want a citizen that has a policy. I mean, I'm not saying that Joe Rogan should be removed from Spotify. He's got 11 million listeners. He's got $100 million, contract as of 2020. But I do think as the podcast platform, you have to have some sort of guidelines. How about a disclaimer on his podcast that says, this is misinformation? How about removing some of the podcasts that disseminate this misinformation?
They have.
And that's
Always the people that always do the pointing, and it always comes back to them, all right? So when you said this is the largest RICO case ever filed in the state of New York, you guys wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia case. Like the mafia one was number one. This one takes it over. So he was scamming insurance companies from taxi drivers, Uber drivers, and Lyft drivers. He was performing unnecessary surgeries and then providing fraudulent medical services in exchange for the kickback.
According to a new lawsuit obtained by Page Six, the orthopedic surgeon was one of 200 defendants named in one of the biggest racketeer influence and corrupt organization cases ever filed in New York. Emanuel was accused of federal insurance fraud and, quote, getting kickbacks by performing surgery and billing a company that insured taxi companies and Uber and Lyft drivers.
The lawsuit paints a picture of a corrupt system that preyed on vulnerable patients, particularly taxi, Uber, and Lyft drivers, forcing them into risky surgeries they might not have needed. American Transit Insurance Company, or ATIC, claims it was duped out of millions of dollars, but as you'll see, this case isn't as clear-cut as it seems. To understand the magnitude of this lawsuit, we need to talk about the RICO Act. Originally designed to combat organized crime, the RICO Act allows prosecutors to go after groups engaged in patterns of illegal activity, like fraud or bribery, under one sweeping charge. So, how does this apply to Dr. Hostin? Prosecutors allege that he participated in a coordinated scheme involving unnecessary surgeries and kickbacks. These surgeries were allegedly performed on accident victims covered by no-fault insurance policies, a lucrative loophole for unscrupulous doctors. But here's where it gets interesting. Hostin's legal team argues that the allegations are baseless and that ATIC, the insurance company leading the charge, might have its own agenda. At the heart of this scandal are the patients, ordinary people who trusted their doctors to provide the best care. Many of these patients were immigrant taxi and rideshare drivers, people who rely on their physical health to make a living. prosecutors claim these patients were manipulated into undergoing unnecessary and invasive surgeries, often with little understanding of the risks involved. For these individuals, the consequences go beyond physical pain. It's a betrayal of trust in a system that's supposed to prioritize their well-being. On the surface, a TIC's lawsuit seems like a quest for justice. The company claims it was defrauded out of millions and is now fighting back against a network of corrupt medical providers. But critics argue that a TIC's motives might not be so pure. Some suggest that the company is using this lawsuit as a distraction from its own financial troubles or as an excuse to deny legitimate claims. This raises a bigger question: how much can we trust insurance companies to act in the best interests of patients? One of the most intriguing aspects of this case is the silence of Sunny Hostin, Dr. Hostin's wife and a prominent co-host on The View. Known for her outspoken opinions on hot-button issues, Sunny has remained tight-lipped about her husband's legal troubles.
I saw you on The View.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been overwhelming my past couple days. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way.
Well, it is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
yeah.
it is a rabies infested hen
Is she
house.
protecting her image? Following legal advice? Or simply waiting for the facts to unfold? Her silence has sparked public speculation and criticism, with some accusing her of hypocrisy given her usual willingness to comment on scandals involving others. Adding fuel to the fire, Joe Rogan recently weighed in on the controversy. On a recent episode of his podcast, Rogan took aim at Sunny Hostin and The View, accusing the show of hypocrisy and low IQ commentary. While his remarks were divisive, they undeniably brought more attention to the case, further intertwining the scandal with media personalities and public opinion. This case isn't just about one doctor or one lawsuit, it's a wake-up call for the healthcare system as a whole. From unnecessary surgeries to fraudulent billing practices, this scandal exposes the dark side of a system where profits often overshadow patient care. It's also a reminder of the fragile trust between patients, doctors, and insurance companies. When that trust is broken, everyone loses. As Dr. Hostin prepares to fight these allegations in court, one thing is clear: this case has already left an indelible mark on the medical and legal worlds. Whether he's ultimately found guilty or innocent, the questions raised by this scandal won't be easily forgotten. So, what do you think? Can we ever truly trust the healthcare system when profit seems to come before care? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to keep the conversation going.